All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're talking about a powerful mental experience that I promise you, every single one of us has felt, even if we didn't know what to call it. It's called cognitive dissonance. And, well, it's this hidden force that's quietly shaping our beliefs, our justifications, and pretty much all of our decisions.
So think about it for a second. You know that time you bought something you totally couldn't afford? Or maybe you committed to a project you knew deep down was just a bad idea. And then what happens? Someone questions you, and bam, you find yourself defending it with this incredible passion you didn't even know you had. That strange, uncomfortable, super defensive feeling, yep, that is cognitive dissonance.
So, in this explainer, we're going to break it all down. We're going to look at what cognitive dissonance actually is, why it creates such a powerful drive inside our own minds, and, this is the important part, what we can actually do about it when we feel that mental discomfort start to bubble up. So, where does this all start? Well, it begins with a conflict, right? An inconsistency that our brain just cannot ignore. You can almost think of it like a mental itch that you just have to scratch. Okay, here's a classic example. Let's say you hold a belief about yourself. Your whole identity is tied to being someone who supports local businesses. But then, you take an action that directly contradicts that belief. You buy something big from a giant online retailer. Instantly, your brain sees this mismatch, this total inconsistency, and it's like, whoa, red flag. It immediately flags it as a problem. And you know what? This conflict feels even stronger when it hits our core values. I'm talking about a clash over something big, like community support or honesty or fairness. When that happens, it creates a way more intense dissonance. It's not just some little inconsistency anymore. It's a direct challenge to who you believe you are. All right, so what happens next? This isn't just a passive thing your brain notices. Oh no, that mental itch we talked about, it creates a powerful, active drive to do something about it. And believe me, it wants to do it fast. So here's the more formal definition. The keywords here are mental discomfort. It's this really uncomfortable feeling, a tension, a kind of psychological stress. See, our brains are literally hardwired for consistency. So when that consistency gets broken, we feel it, not just mentally, but physically and emotionally too. And this is the crucial point. That feeling of discomfort, it's the engine driving the whole thing. It is so unpleasant that our brain's number one priority, its only mission, becomes resolving that conflict just to get back to a sense of internal harmony. And this motivation, get this, can be so strong it'll override pure logic and even outside rewards.
Yeah, and we actually have psychologist Leon Festinger to thank for first putting a name to this whole thing way back in the 1950s. His work was absolutely revolutionary. Why? Because it showed that we humans aren't just motivated by, rewards and punishments. We're motivated by this deep internal drive to maintain a consistent, coherent story about who we are. Okay, so we've established our brain is highly motivated to escape this discomfort. But how does it actually do it? Well, it has a few clever and often totally unconscious strategies it uses to find some relief. Let's call them escape routes. So, broadly speaking, there are three main paths out of this mess. The most direct one, change your behavior. You could just, return the item. Simple. The second path, change your belief. Maybe decide that supporting local businesses just isn't that important to you anymore. But it's the third path, justifying our behavior. That's the one we take almost every time. We just add new thoughts to the equation to make our actions seem perfectly fine. And this brings us to a big one, rationalization. Think of this as your brain's superstar defense attorney. It's not about being rational, not at all. It's about sounding rational after the fact, just to make ourselves feel better. We build this perfectly logical sounding story to bridge that uncomfortable gap between what we did and what we believe. And this is a brilliant illustration of how it works. Did you see what just happened there? A whole new idea was introduced, saving my family money. So by elevating that value, the original action, buying online, now seems perfectly consistent with our identity as a responsible person. And just like that, the conflict feels like it's gone. Okay, another really common escape route is something called trivialization. This is exactly what it sounds like. We just downplay the importance of the conflict. Instead of actually resolving the inconsistency, we just tell ourselves it doesn't matter. It's basically our brain's way of saying, this isn't a big deal, just to let ourselves off the hook. Here it is in action, plain and simple.
By minimizing the impact, that conflict between I support local and I just bought online suddenly seems so tiny, so insignificant, that the mental discomfort just kind of fades away. It's an incredibly effective trick our brain plays on us, even if it is a bit of self-deception. And finally, there's effort justification. Now, this one is fascinating. If we pour a ton of time or money or effort into something, we literally can't stand the thought that it wasn't worth it. So to avoid that dissonance, what does our brain do? It inflates the value of the outcome. The harder the struggle, the more we convince ourselves we absolutely love the result. It's wild.
Okay, so we've made our decision, we've justified it, and we feel better. But the story doesn't end there, not even close. Dissonance often lingers, especially after a big choice, in what you could call a choice hangover. This is what's known as post-decision dissonance. You've made a choice, maybe between two pretty good options, and now your mind starts to worry. What about the path I didn't take? That doubt creates that same old uncomfortable feeling all over again. And what does that do? It triggers a whole new round of justification just to calm our anxiety. And to fight back against that doubt, our brain does something really sneaky. It subtly rewrites history. We start to amplify all the good things about our choice and downplay the negatives. And at the same time, we do the exact opposite for the options we rejected. We basically convince ourselves we made the absolute 100% best decision, all to protect our ego from feeling any regret. So, after hearing all of this, you might be thinking that cognitive dissonance is just a bug in our thinking, a flaw in our programming. But what if it's not? What if we can reframe this whole thing into something incredibly useful? Look, if you take away one single thing from this, let it be this. That uncomfortable feeling isn't a problem you need to crush. It's a notification from your brain. Think of it like a big, bright, flashing arrow pointing directly at an inconsistency between your values and your actions. It's really an opportunity for self-awareness. So, the next time you feel that dissonance kick in, you're at a crossroads. You face a choice. You can take the defensive path, rationalize, trivialize, protect your ego at all costs. Or you can choose the path of growth. You can get curious about that discomfort and use it as a catalyst to maybe change your behavior or even reevaluate what you believe in. At the end of the day, our minds are always going to seek out comfort. That's just how they're built. So the next time you feel that mental tug of war, the real question isn't if you'll resolve it. You will. The question is how. Are you going to create a comfortable story to justify things as they are? Or will you find a new kind of comfort in aligning your actions more closely with the truth of who you really want to be? That choice is always yours.